Hi everyone. So completing the square was the topic with the second most votes. And so that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to go through 5 examples, going through the process of this. So hopefully by the time you've watched all 5 of these and had a go at them yourselves, you'll be experts on this topic. Okay, so express x squared plus 6x plus 8 in the form x plus a squared plus b. Now sometimes the questions will really explicitly say complete the square on the following, but sometimes they'll just say something like this. And we've got a few different questions like this today. Okay, so express it in the form, and this is what tells us it's completing the square. You've got something in a bracket squared and then some other number term on the end. And basically we need to find out what a and b are. Okay, so our method then for these questions is to always halve the coefficient of x. So always halve the number that's in front of the x, the number that's multiplying x. So that's going to give us, in a bracket, x plus 3 squared. And what we're looking for here is we're looking to try and sort out an expression that equals the x squared plus 6x, and then we can always then just stick this plus 8 on the end. So I'm going to do that here. Okay, so let me just do that again. We halve the coefficient of x, so in the bracket, x plus 3 all squared, that's getting us this bracket. And what I actually only want is x squared plus 6x. So what I'm going to do, just over this side here, I'm going to do a little bit of FOIL rule to just multiply that out to see what we get. So we're going to get x squared plus 3x plus another 3x plus 9. So x squared plus 6x plus 9. That's what I get when I do x plus 3 all squared. So I've got my x squared term that I want. I've got my plus 6x that I want. But then I've got this plus 9 that I don't want. So all I'm going to do there is I'm going to say, well, I don't want this. So instead of adding 9, I'm going to take 9 off to get rid of that. And that would then leave me with x squared plus 6x. So I'm going to take off that 9 here, because now what happens is this expression, x plus 3 all squared, which is this, minus 9, so I take the 9 off, that gives me the x squared plus 6x that I want, and then I mustn't forget me plus 8 at the end. So the final thing to do is to just sort out the numbers at the end. Minus 9 plus 8 is minus 1, and that's the process of completing the square done. So if we're asked to express it in this form, x plus a squared, so x plus something all squared plus another number. So here a would be 3, and b, it says plus b, but this is actually negative 1, so b is negative 1. So that would be the answer if they were asking us for a and b. Okay, now in the next few questions I'm not going to bother doing this FOIL rule bit, because the same thing always happens. You always get a number on the end that you need to take away, and it'll always be a plus, because a minus times a minus will be a plus here, or a plus times a plus is a plus. So we'll always have something added on the end that we need to take off to do our completing the square method. So in the other questions, I'm not going to bother doing this FOIL rule bit to check, but if you want to do that, that's absolutely fine. Okay, let's have a look at question 2. So question 2, same sort of idea, and this one, it looks really similar, doesn't it? Instead of the 6x, we've just got 5x. This one's actually quite a bit more difficult, because the coefficient of x now is not a nice even number, but we still need to halve it. Okay, so I'm looking to complete the square to get this expression. So I've got to halve the 5. So that's going to give me x plus 5 over 2. If you want to write that as 2.5, that's fine. But I'm going to leave it as 5 over 2 squared. And I know I just said I wasn't going to square my bracket out, but I am going to do that on this one. So x plus 5 over 2 squared times the x plus 5 over 2. That's going to give me x squared plus 2.5x plus another 2.5x, so plus my 5x in the middle. So I wanted those two things. And then I'm going to get plus these two things multiplied together, so 25 over 4. And again, if you wanted to write this as 6.25, that's absolutely fine. So I don't want that. I'm going to take off 25 over 4. And then don't forget we've got to add this plus 8 at the end. So x plus 5 over 2 all squared. And then I'm just going to do this bit over here as well, a little bit more working out over here. So minus 25 over 4 plus 8. Let's get a common denominator, 4. So minus 25 over 4 plus 32 over 4. That's going to give me minus 25 plus 32, so positive 7 over 4. So that's my overall answer here. So in this particular question, A was equal to 5 over 2, B was equal to 7 over 4. Now the reason I put one of those in is just because if this is a non-calculator paper, then you do need to be able to do these without grabbing your calculator to squaring things. If it's a calculator allowed paper, which the review task will be, then obviously you can just do this on your calculator and use decimals here, not a problem. But the idea of halving this coefficient of x is really important each time. Okay, let's do a few more of these, maybe written slightly differently. Just going to move this up. Hopefully you can still see these questions. Okay, so question 3. If x squared minus 8x minus 7 equals x plus p all squared plus q, find the values of p and q. And again, it doesn't tell us to complete the square, but the clue is here. Whenever you see something that's like this sort of expression, then it is definitely asking us to complete the square. So let's do this one. So halve the coefficient of x, so this time half of minus 8 is minus 4. So that's going to give us x minus 4 all squared. If I square this out, you can do it if you want to, we're going to get x squared minus 4x minus another 4x, so x squared minus 8x, which I want, but then I'm going to get minus 4 times minus 4, which is plus 16, too much, so I need to take that 16 off. Then this expression will be exactly the same as this first bit, and then don't forget, I've got a minus 7, minding its own business at the end. So x minus 4 all squared, minus 16 minus another 7 is minus 23. So in this particular question, that's the completing the square done. P is equal to negative 4, because it's positive there. Q again is positive here, so Q is equal to minus 23, and we're done. Okay, I'm going to move this up again. So we want to complete the square on this. Now this time we've got to be really careful here. In all of the ones that we've done so far, and actually in all of the ones that we did in class a few weeks ago, they were always in this form. You know, ax squared plus bx plus c. Okay, this one isn't yet. So what we're going to have to do here is we're going to have to sort this out first of all before we can try to complete the square. So x, expand this bracket to get it in the form of a standard quadratic. So that means x squared plus 4x and then minus 8 at the end. And now I can do my completing the square on this. So let's have a look what we're going to do. Halve the coefficient of x, so that's 2. So x plus 2 squared. So that would give me x squared plus 2x plus 4. 2 times 2 is 4, so I need to take 4 off the end of that to make these things the same. Don't forget your minus 8 as well. So that's x plus 2 squared minus 4 minus 8 is minus 12. And let's have a look at this. So p here would have been 2. And q here would have been negative 12. Okay. One more example to do. And again, this time, you know, just be careful with these questions. It's not asking us to solve it or anything like that. It's just asking us to sort it out so it's in this form, to do the completing the square process on this quadratic. It's not in the form ax squared plus bx plus c yet, so we need to expand this out first of all. So this is a bit of FOIL rule here. So x squared plus 2x minus 7x minus 14. So x squared minus 5x minus 14. Okay, and now again, This now we need to complete the square to get it into this form. So this expression, we halve the coefficient of x squared. So that's going to give me x minus 5 over 2. Again, if you want to write this as 2.5 or 2.5, that's fine. All squared. And then if I do my FOIL rule on this, I'm going to get my x squared, I'm going to get my minus 5x, but then I'm going to get minus 5 minus is a plus, I'm going to get plus 25 over 2, too much when I do my FOIL rule, so I need to take that off the end. Sorry, 25 over 4, should I say, because let me just remind you of that. If I'm doing FOIL rule on that expression, so if I did square this out, I'm going to get x squared minus 2.5x minus another 2.5x, so minus 5x in the middle, which is what I want. But then I'm going to get plus 25 over 4 that I don't want, so I need to take that off. And then don't forget to take off your 14 as well. Okay, and then minus 25 over 4 minus another 14. So let's do a common denominator. Minus 25 over 4 minus 56 over 4. So then that's going to give me minus 81 over 4. So here, x minus 5 over 2 all squared minus 81 over 4. Find the values of a and b it's asking me to do, and just let's have a look at what it wants this to look like. So I'm going to write this underneath. Let's do that in red, you can see it. I want that to look like x minus a this time, squared, plus b. So looking at this, this is take away a, this is take away 5 over 2, so a must be 5 over 2. And then b here, plus b, but this is negative, so b must be minus 81 over 4. Okay, so what I'd like you to do, if you haven't been already, is to go back, have a look at those, maybe have a go at them yourselves, and then check that you can do this. Any issues, let me know.